When the decision to go on hunger strike was taken, what consideration was given to the effects it would have on the outside? Is the violence to be regretted?
Well, first of all, there would have been, if the British government hadn't reneged on political status, and political status was won as a result of a hunger strike in 1972, which lasted about 35 days, in which there were no fatalities. Despite Republicans being shot dead trying to escape, despite prison officers in the British Army regularly beating prisoners, and I was interned when I was in my late teens in Long Kesh, and we were subjected to raids, violent, brutal raids, once a month in the cages of Long Kesh. Despite this, the IRA did not kill a prison officer until the withdrawal of political status in 1976. And the Loyalists, the INLA, the IRA, between them, were responsible for the deaths of maybe 29 prison officers. So they would not have been attacked had the controversy over the withdrawal of political status taken place. The British government deliberately and arbitrarily withdrew it, just decided that if you were arrested on the 20th of February 1976, you were a political prisoner, if you were sentenced. But if you were arrested 5 minutes past 12, you were a criminal. Total, absolute nonsense. And of course, it was never going to work. Republicans, historically, have never accepted criminalisation, if you look back in history. So it was inevitable that there was going to be a reaction from the parent organisations of the prisoners to the brutalisation of the prisoners in the jail. We didn't know, for example, that there was going to be a political or an electoral legacy from the hunger strike. Bobby Sands was about 6-7 days on hunger strike when Frank Maguire, the independent MP for Fermanagh and South Tyrone, died. But there need not have been a by-election for 6 months, 7 months. It was the leader of the Ulster Unionist Party, James Molyneux, who moved the writ in Westminster, which caused a by-election for Fermanagh and South Tyrone. A by-election that was held while Bobby was on hunger strike. That's how Bobby Sands came to be put forward. You know, completely accidental, unplanned. And people look back and say, God, how clever it was of the Republicans to put forward Bobby Sands. They got Bobby Sands elected, then they got Owen Carn elected, then they contested the Assembly elections, and Danny Morrison and Owen Carn and Jim McAllister and Martin McGuinness and Gerry Adams got elected. And then Gerry Adams became MP for West Belfast. As if this continuum, you know, was well thought out. No, we took a big risk in putting forward Bobby Sands. Bobby Sands might have lost. If he had lost by 5 votes, Thatcher would have crowed, even your own people reject you. You don't deserve political status. You're not getting political status. So it was a risk. But Bobby agreed to that risk because we were confident that the nationalist community was sound at heart. We were confident that we were reading the situation, that the SDLP were wrong. The SDLP dismissed a councillor for signing Bobby Sands' election papers. People should not forget that.
The election of Bobby Sands as MP for Fermanagh South Tyrone, what impact did that have on the prisoners' morale?
Oh, huge. Bobby's election was a huge impact. Huge boost to the prisoners. And in a sense, while nobody believed that by getting him elected or coming out of that election with the victory that we had, while we didn't believe that that was the be-all and end-all, we certainly knew that it gave a tremendous boost to the campaign for trying to acquire the 5 basic demands. I think some people may have felt that Maggie Thatcher could no longer continue to adopt the policy that they had adopted, that she couldn't allow, you know, for example, a member of her own parliament, per se, to die. But I mean, obviously, we were proved wrong. Anybody who had felt like that was proved wrong. But in a sense, we knew that it would take more than that. It would take greater pressure. But that certainly was a tremendous boost. It gave great morale boost to the prisoners, and certainly to the people outside in Fermanagh South Tyrone who come out in their droves to vote for Bobby Sands. It also gave lie to the fact that the prisoners didn't have any support, and it certainly nailed that to the wall. And in terms of the criminalisation policy, it certainly put paid to that as well.
I mean, the election of Bobby Sands was such a moment of hope where we felt there was a possibility here of the British government being under pressure internationally. Because Thatcher had said, you don't have a mandate. How can I talk to you? And here, Bobby was given a mandate.
What about when it's called off and you'd gone so many days and now your 10 comrades are dead? What mixture of emotions have you got at that stage?
Well, I had a mixture of emotions when the hunger strike ended. Now, I was on the hunger strike right up until the decision was taken to end it. And I have to say, first of all, I was glad that I was alive. However, I felt a bit guilty about that. My foremost thoughts were for the families of the men who had died and how they felt about it, how they felt about the fact that the hunger strike had ended. And in many ways, I have to say that I felt demoralised after the hunger strike. It felt as if it was a defeat. But the difficulty for us was that we were so isolated from the outside in many ways. We didn't understand just how massive the hunger strike was, not only in Ireland, but in many other countries throughout the world. And it was only later that we realised that the whole criminalisation policy had been blown out of the water by the hunger strike. So at no stage was it a defeat.
25 years on, their names are still remembered, books are written about them, flags fly in support, their images adorn gable walls, and yet Thatcher is largely forgotten, even by our own. What conclusions do you draw from that?
Well, the conclusions you can draw from who came out of 1981 on top, certainly from our point of view in an Irish struggle context, the hunger strikes were certainly a foundation stone upon which the expansion and development of Republican politics was built. It's certainly a turning point, and it has certainly propelled this struggle to great lengths. It certainly gave our people, both activists and supporters, and generally the nationalist people, a great boost of confidence to be able to stand forward and engage in struggle, because people are confident that we will win through in the end. And in a sense, you know, people like Maggie Thatcher have gone into the dustbin of history. They don't influence even people within their own party anymore, while the hunger strikers themselves are still, to me, I would actually say that 25 years ago you had 10 men who died involved in a very, very bitter struggle. Those men are still involved in struggle because there are people today, young people today, are being greatly influenced by the sacrifices and the example of the hunger strikers, and people today are coming to activism through that example from 1981. So certainly there's a clear difference that the 10 hunger strikers are certainly very, very much in the mains of a community in struggle and a people in struggle here.